That's not a problem.
Thank you.
We actually found out who the original brick supplier was, and where it came from. So that's easy. If I could just answer one, and I'm not
Please.
argumentative at
No,
all.
say anything you need.
I don't feel like I got a project with my hand tied behind my back as an architect, and you're one on your board, so I'm sure he'll relate to this. We like challenges, and it's more of a challenge to have this kind of a project. Number one, I don't feel the town's not getting their money's worth on this. The problem, if you went ahead and left the existing structure there and tried to build around it, it would cost you more money. And that was part of the analysis we did in the very beginning. It was part of our charge from the building committee, was to evaluate whether the existing building could be saved or reutilized, or just tear it down and start from scratch. And based on costing, this is the most economical approach. I disagree with your statement only because about a freestanding building, and I know that there was one proposed, I think it was on this site, if I'm not mistaken, and I've seen a model or a plan of it, and I know what the square footage is, and I can tell you from experience, because I do nothing but police and fire facilities. You could not build that building for the same money you can build this one. Physically, impossible. Totally impossible. If you're starting from scratch on this site with no utilities. Can't be done. The other site has basically no site work other than a septic field and patching paving. That's the site work. This site here is a raw site.
Tell me, what has happened with the septic?
Well, we did a test pit, 10 feet deep. It was all approved by Mr. Fair from the Board of Health. And we have a letter from him approving the front of the building, the area I suggested to you that night. That was an area that we would use, and that's all been approved for septic.
Why was the common suggested as a place to a test pit?
Because the day I met with Mr. Fair originally, before we did any excavation, was he said if we can't make it work in front of the police station, we could always do a field across the street. That was just a comment made. He said it's a possibility, it's town land, we can always do a test pit. That's all. So the first option was to do the one in front of the police station.
He called one of our former members for that permission.
But I don't know, I had nothing to do with that.
But in fairness for the record,
Yeah.
to Mr. Jones' credit, he got in touch with me and we
Right.
addressed it. So
Right.
while I agree with you that the initial process wasn't necessarily all that pleasant, we took care of that one properly. And I think it's important that be on the table.
And I told you at the time they would not dig across the
Right.
street.
Yes, I'm saying it's important that be on the
Yeah,
record
Ken
that we
called me
did that
night.
properly.
It was a moot point. I mean, we were very comfortable and confident, based on the original borings that we had from when they built the original building, that the soil would work. But again, Mr. Fair's the one that makes that decision, not us. And he saw it, he went in the hole, we did everything, and he's very happy with it. We have a letter on it, good perk rates and everything.
From history, I knew it was virgin soil, because it's where the other fire station used to come right out on. And that was not filled land, which they found out when they dug it.
John, did you want to say something, or?
No.
Okay.
Not at this time.
Okay.
On the easterly side of the addition, or new addition, how much from the original structure, how much more feet are we pushing into on the easterly side, facing it now on the left side of the
On the
wall?
back, towards the back, you mean, or to the side?
No, to the front, sideline.
And the width in the
sideline.
front is pretty much the width it is now, if you included the canopy to the existing entrance.
Even with the wing on the back here,
The elevator, as you mean?
No,
Yes, the elevator.
is that what that
The
is? This
elevator-
wing here that's still visible to the
Right.
street.
I can't see this one.
This squarish wing is still visible to the street.
Yeah, but it's set back a little bit, sure.
So that doesn't
Wow.
push out further than what's existing there now?
I believe it's not. The building is wider because of the way we've laid it out. If you look at the way the existing building is laid out, it's a little different. It's also a lower building, so it relates smaller in scale.
Oh, my. I'd like to thank Mr. Murphy for bringing that over, and then I'd like to not thank him for bringing it over. It's enormous.
I did not build that model.
No, kidding aside, thank you for letting us see it. I gotta be honest, every time I look at it, and especially when I looked at it from that side view, that building is deep.
I'm trying to get a visual from the sideline, the easterly sideline
That's on the
here.
edge of the lawn.
course, you're looking up from the common down at it, that's a different perspective, totally, you're gonna see the roof line,
Yeah.
like you had tried to view.
But if you look at it if you look at this at an angle from Flint Memorial Hall, if you look at this from the
Yeah.
side from the
Yeah.
McLean Building, if you come in from Middleton, that's enormous.
You do not see it that way, that's what you're missing. If you look at that site, you put
The
if you
contours
put
are
it,
not there.
first of all, the contours are not there. You do not have the large trees that are sitting in the lot 20 feet in front of that, forward. So when you come down.
Like here, you mean?
Is it 62?
Yeah.
When you come down Park Street, from Middleton, you don't see that whole side of the building. All you're gonna see is about 20 feet down, and that's it.
That isn't built like steel, so handle it
Right, I mean, you. Don't drop it.
Just so people
The
at
thing-
home
the
can
thing-
see.
The thing is, you're seeing the whole model with nothing around it.
Right.
You put the contours in, you put, I forget the name of the houses that complex the white
McLean.
buildings. To the,
Jared McLean.
Jared McLean, and you put all those large trees that are there in there, you do not see that whole elevation. You only see just about the corner of the elevator shaft, the
What was land
backside.
that we acquired, adjacent to that?
Just enough for parking in the back.
Yeah.
That was used for the police station?
Right, and we've changed, the parking is remaining exactly the same as it is now.
Sufficient.
And the only thing we're adding is 4 spaces in front of the fire station, which were on the original design of the original fire station. And for some reason, they stopped using them, so we're gonna reuse them so we can pacify the zoning as much as possible.
So there's a community room in here,
In that
correct?
corner, right. Which is mainly for in-service training of the department. They
Right.
call them a community room, but it's an in-service
Right.
training.
But being familiar with first responder courses and so forth at the fire station,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that there is no place to park now, at the present time.
Okay.
And if we're inviting use of another community room, where do we park?
Park at the library and walk down.
Well, how do we know who's going into that building, that they're going to be able to park at the library and walk down? Maybe there's elderly people. You know,
Well, if you go through the zoning calculations, and you take out storage and the apparatus bay, which was done when they built the building originally also, you're required to have around 56 spaces, and we can accommodate that.
where? 56?
56.
On that
spaces?
site now is 48 spaces. And with the spaces we're adding in the front,
Is the 48 spaces with the department vehicles?
it's department and staff vehicles, both. Department and staff,
The department vehicles, the cruisers.
and staff cars, employee cars.
I don't mean employee cars, but
Well, that's what the space-
are you figuring in the cruisers that sit outside in addition to
That's
the
part of the
people that are
count.
staffing the building?
That's correct. You don't have 56 people working in that building at one time, between police and fire.
Any other comments?
Yes.
Please, Tom.
I'd like to, if we could review a little bit of the discussion on FEA versus FEB. As I read the elevation drawings, the only difference is in the doorway, is that correct?
Right, when we had the meeting, the last meeting, I was asked to, after the discussion we had, we agreed on the double columns.
Right,
We all agreed to that.
yes,
And then, I forget who it was, but one member of your board, the original scheme we had, I believe we had FEA, I think,
Yes.
no, we had FEB. And they said, let's try a scheme with the narrow side lights to the door.
Yes.
And a scheme with wide side lights to
Right.
go up. With the curved dormer. And then the other question was to do the same thing without the curved dormer, with the 3 windows in the middle, with the narrow side lights and the wide side lights.
Right.
The windows are the same on both. In that last meeting we had, we went from the small panes of glass to the larger panes. That was the preference, I believe, for the majority of your board at that time.
right. But on FEA, you have a considerably wider front door, is that correct? I mean, the door.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem is the drawings you're looking at are not scaled to scale, they were
Right, but
scaled.
what- in
When
other
we
words-
reduce them down, they change.
Yes.
And sometimes one or two things do change. The door is gonna be a 3/6 door on the front.
As opposed to the mini door on?
Yeah, that's not it's.
Well, I mean, what I see is what I see, so.
I understand that.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
I mean,
It's a Xerox reduction problem. But there is a board.
Well, I mean,
that
it doesn't look like a Xerox reduction to me, it looks like there's a question of design. It looks like for a 3-foot door versus a 4-foot 2-door. or
No, that's
something.
not even a 3-foot door. that's
Computer blip.
It's a computer glitch on CAD.
Okay,
Trust me.
well,
In fact,
design,
if you look at on FEA,
Yeah.
if you look at the front entrance, the
Yeah.
curve is a little different too, because of the way it reduced.
okay.
It's all a matter of reduction,
Right,
unfortunately.
well, design-wise, the door on FEA with its traditional 4-window light at the top and so forth, if I'm to believe
Yeah.
it, is much more in keeping with the Georgian building.
The numbers
than
of panes of glass
FEB.
can be adjusted, that's not a problem.
Well,
Well,
That's a technicality.
Those wide side lights are ugly.
don't you think that FEA is as far as design-wise on the entrance is more attractive?
I agree with you, Tom.
Yes, I agree with you.
Okay, I just wanted to,
You prefer the narrower side lights?
yes, we further
The
narrow
wider
side
door.
lights with the 4-light configuration over the door. Its width yet to be determined, I gather.
I think as we begin to kind of try and get this discussion wrapped up and concluded and see where we need to go from here, personally, and again, I let everyone speak for themselves, while I understand and respect the need for light, and I don't want to belittle that, when I look at FE A and B versus C and D, I honestly have to say, right up front, that I do not see how I could ever vote to accept A or B. Doors notwithstanding, and I agree with some of the door discussions, and those are worth having, to me, breaking up the roof like that is just the worst part, aside from the size and scope of what I see here. Hmm?
You make the roof much heavier, you make it, you lighten it up by breaking it up.
You
And you
lighten it
will-
up and you ugly it up at the same
No,
time.
you don't.
Matter of opinion, Tom, that's fine.
No, it's a matter of...
No, it's a matter of opinion.
No, it's not.
Aesthetics are always a matter of opinion.
Well, there is aesthetics and there's aesthetics. In this case, it is that you're conforming, if you are presenting this type of mass in this type of design, it calls for that type of treatment to a dormer window to admit light at the top.
It relieves the scale.
It relieves the scale. It's the law of aesthetics, not of...
Still a matter of opinion.
The primary purpose was letting a lot of light back into the main building.
That's correct. And is a scale measure too.
The one question I had, in using the old plan, which gave some elevation heights,
Which
it looked
one?
like the ground floor, the basement level was 9'6".
You on the floor plans or,
Huh?
you on the floor plans or that's what it seems?
Well, no, it was taken off from a set of previous ones that you had.
Hang on, I might have those, hang on.
You had a base elevation of 65, and then the first floor elevation of 76. So I said, okay, 9.5 feet ceiling height.
Was that before the building was shrunken?
No. Wasn't shrunk.
It was at one point.
First floor was
Yes.
elevation of 76. Second floor is 89.4, which is roughly 12 foot ceiling height. I'm just curious, why 12 feet?
Well, you need room for mechanical work and structural. Structure is 2 feet, mechanical is 2 feet, that's 4 feet, that'll give you around an 8-foot ceiling. And then you try and,
2 feet
well,
for
we have
mechanical?
speed, we're trying to make the building economical.
Yeah.
and economical is to do a light gauge steel frame with bar joists. What we're trying to do